Graham, how are you?
Morning, Diamond. I'm fine.
Football in England has been very weird since the return. Shocking results. Aston Villa are suddenly the best team in the world. Only team in the top 5 leagues to have won every single game.
Sorry, Chair. The line crackled there.
Football.
What did you say about Aston Villa? Do you want to say it again? No, just the Aston Villa bit.
Best team in the world.
Come on, sharpen up, waking up, Chair, baby.
Ross Barkley, who knew he could shoot? Come here. What's going on in Spain? It seems like they're all playing out boring 0-0 draws. Or no, in fairness, both Real Madrid and Barcelona were beaten on the same day for the first time in a long time at the weekend. But it hasn't been crazy 4-all, 7-2, 8-0. What's going on?
No, it's typical of our conversations, Jerry. You have half a point there. There were a couple of weeks when things were Sahara dry in front of goal. And I love the pendulum of football because after the restart, when Spain had gone however many months from March till June without competitive football, I was shocked by the intensity, the level of performance, the athletic fitness. That, if anything, the quality of the football went up after a long and forced break, where maybe now it transpires that rest is quite important for elite athletes, male or female. And there's been a real hair of the dog feel to the beginning of La Liga, whereby the teams that went on a longer run in Europe have looked all out of sorts. They're at 6s and 7s in terms of who's actually fit available, who's match fit, and who's match sharp. That's the way the steps go. And therefore, some of the smaller teams have had a little tilt. That culminated in, and they weren't the first surprise results, but that culminated in 3 crackers this weekend, each of which were really good games. Granada, first of all, beat Sevilla, and that continues the majestical rise of this relatively small club, which is historic in its own way in Spanish football. It's had its day, but beating Sevilla, ending an 18-match undefeated run for Los Rojiblancos, was followed by an absolutely wonderful performance by the other yellow submarine, Cadiz, a passionate kind of local club whereby all kinds of nonsense has gone on in that city over the years that I've been in Spain about ownership, including gunfights. They've got noisy, often quite tipsy fans. They're not allowed to games at the moment, but they're still there. They got to Real Madrid and they beat Real Madrid in Madrid for the first time in their history. And Jared do it comfortably. And it was a fabulous display from Cadiz, and topped off by 2 strikers who'd never played together before, 172-year-old Alvaro Negredo and Choco Lozano, the Honduran, who actually gets the really big goal, beats Courtois, really smashing, lazy, all out of sorts by the Spanish champions. And then Getafe, now that I'm not on La Liga television, I can say the actual words, use horseshoes in their boxing gloves, knuckle dusters. The performance by Getafe against Barcelona was everything that we've grown accustomed to from this really cleverly coached, brilliantly organised Madrid-based side, except there was just that extra little Tabasco sauce of thuggery, particularly from big old Alan Neom, who I don't know if he was pitching for a shot NFL, but particularly his body check on Leo Messi was enough to say, like, you might be out in probation in 6 months, never mind was it a red card or not. Seriously.
Right, I didn't see it. That's okay. So it's not. There's no.
Nor did Messi. Nor did Messi. So the wee man was like, "What?"
There's no overarching trend apart from the fact that those teams are going to take some time to get back to full fitness. And in the meantime, hopefully, we're going to see loads of enjoyable shock results, and that might set us up for a very interesting title race.
No, there is an overarching trend. What's been happening for several years now is that it's so difficult to get out of the second division, particularly for clubs who aren't big budget guys bouncing back, that they have to be brilliant in the football direction department because they have to manage their resources without the the happy-go-lucky attitude that the Premier League shows, and indeed some of the championships, or throw money at the problem. They can't do that. So it tends to be that the sides that come up, one, are really brilliantly organised in terms of who to buy, when to sell, which kids coming through their academies can work, and they tend to be exceptionally well coached. They don't all play the same style, but it's a really robust league to get out of a second. It doesn't have the same fanfare as the Championship, but it's harder to get out of than the Championship in England. And therefore, the teams that are coming up, whatever proposition of football, they tend to be exceptionally well organised and packed full of footballers who are either about to burst through or determined to prove themselves. And if you give them 2 weeks, I don't know if it's called that in Ireland or England, the FIFA virus. If you give 2 weeks of planning to a really talented, ambitious, often young coach at Cardiff or Granada or at Getafe is a slightly different case. But, over the years, Eibar have done it, Alaves have done it in recent years. And you allow them 2 clear weeks with 90% of the squad there every day when the big guys aren't only already a little bit toiling under the impact of the mad year we've had, but several of their players are away in Peru or Ecuador or Uruguay or Brazil or Argentina. And then they come back, they've got cotton wool between their ears, they've probably got jet lag. Several of the stars might be benched and only used in extremis. You let the little guys, the Davids, find the time to aim the slingshot right at Goliath's head, then quite often they'll knock him over. There's your trend. And I say to you again, it's about really, really good organisation in the club and really good coaching. Spain is having a brain drain of talent at the moment because there are leagues, particularly England, who go like, we can spend more on the purchase price and the wages, therefore we'll suck talent away. It's like net fishing where you just scoop up everything. But that's not happening to the coaches who are maybe the second line in terms of profile, but their ability is fantastic. And therefore there's your trend, and it's good to watch. It's fun to watch.
What has been your take on the Ronald Koeman, Lionel Messi romance so far? Is it a romance?
Yeah, no, I get your point. From Messi's side, no. But there's they don't need marriage counselling anymore. Koeman's done some of the things that he promised he would, that I was a little bit doubtful about, but we're still in match day 6 on. So let's keep our powder dry. And I don't mean in a cynical way, but Koeman's tendencies that he's shown across his coaching career, it would be unnatural if they don't resurface. At the moment, what he said he would do was he would put players in their proper position. He would try to build a team around Messi. He would treat Messi like the best footballer he's ever coached with and the best footballer in the world. On the pitch, things have been mixed. Interesting, but mixed. They're distinctly better than they were under Setien. Distinctly better. And until they were thugged off the park against Getafe, they were playing some really quite interesting football. Where are the problems? Well, the fact that on a daily basis, Messi and Koeman are getting on just fine. The atmosphere at training is much more intense and much more respectful. I don't know how often that's a word you use on your show, but we're used to elite teams, certainly in my experience, Madrid and Barcelona, and when we've had really strong Villarreal or Sevilla or Deportivo La Coruña or indeed Atleti, the hunger of the players to be the best and then being at it every day in training is almost self-bound, self-motivated. In this instance, Barcelona had hit a buffer whereby everybody there had won everything or had come in, not won everything, and looked at the big boys and said, oh, those are the habits, and they were bad habits. And that's changed, and Koeman has found respect on. So to say that things are back to what they were once at their absolute best would be wrong. To say that Messi has found or has been given the right position in the team without a centre forward, which they don't really have unless they start playing Braithwaite. There's structural problems in the team still, but is it better daily and in some parts of the matches? Definitely. And is the Koeman impact being shown on Serginho Dest, who's coming from Ajax, no experience at this super level, and is playing out of position at left back and looks very, very good. Pedri, please mark down the name. They've found a player that will have everybody around Europe licking the lips. He's younger than Ansu. He hasn't broken records because he's only just breaking in, and he's not an out-and-out goal scorer like Ansu is, but he's younger. I mean, 20, 30 days younger. And he's a diamond, an absolute gem of a footballer. So they're going to get knocked over a couple of times in the next few months, Barcelona. No question about it, because the process is slow, but they're going in the right direction.
Okay, so there's green shoots, and we'll see exactly what happens with that. And they're back to the scene of the crime, not literally, but metaphorically, with the Champions League tonight. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of a fallout there is from a psychic energy perspective. Can I ask you about Sevilla against Chelsea? Because this Chelsea team are flaky when it comes to defending and very top-heavy when it comes to attacking. Sevilla are one of those sides who know their way around things, who understand how matches are supposed to work, who know how to get results, and it's kind of the exact test that you would not want if you are Frank Lampard and Chelsea at the moment.
I agree with everything you said. There are a couple of provisos. One, Sevilla aren't really fluent in front of goal. For example, you'd remember that Luke de Jong erupted against Manchester United with the winner, and then got a couple against, was it Inter in the final, I think. And he's not a fluent goal scorer at Sevilla. At PSV, he was. When he signed and he wasn't finding his rhythm at Sevilla, I went back and used Wisecout to look at his performances at PSV and his last 29 goals. And they were all from at or around the 6-yard area. Whether they were finishes to his feet or headers, they were coming in at him hard from wide positions. And he loved that. His movement, if he doesn't have to do a lot of thinking, a lot of sprinting, his movement is really good. In terms of playing the way that Sevilla play, Luke de Jong is not a natural scorer. And it's important to say that Koundé, who's an exceptional, albeit young, French centre-back, and with Diego Carlos have made one of the best central defensive partnerships in Europe. Koundé isn't going to play, I don't think. And he's the guy that Manchester City, 2 days before deadline, were still trying to get for about 55 million just before they signed the Diaz deal. He's that good, and he's absent, and therefore up top, Sevilla don't really take all the chances. At the back, Koundé is absent. They lost looking tired to Granada at the weekend, and one of the big things over the course of this Champions League group is that the Nervio on the stadium is brilliant. It's one of the best places to play football, but it gives Sevilla wings, and with no fans. I'm not saying I fancy Chelsea outright, but the balancing of the problems you identified at Chelsea would be that maybe Sevilla are a tiny little bit more penetrable at the back, and Sevilla need to find the right way to score goals, particularly Chelsea are shipping them in. Thiago Silva hasn't hit the ground running yet, and it's probably, would you say, going to be Caballero ahead of Kepa? I'd say so. Yeah,
more than likely at this stage. After who knows? Frank Lampard might be wedded to that now that he made the decision at the weekend. It's like, oh God, what do you do? And like,
but one of the things, Joe, that's really important about that debate is that Kepa's record statistically is horrible, and they overpaid badly. And at Athletic, Unai Simon is now looking like the goalie Chelsea thought they'd signed. But Kepa has known for months that both Frank Lampard and Jody Morris don't really rate him, don't really fancy him. Now, whatever he's doing wrong, however much he's been exposed, and I'm not defending him because his record is unacceptable. If you've got in the back of your head, the coach doesn't fancy me, you've got a problem. As soon as Spain start playing again, there was a friendly, I guess, against Portugal. Luis Enrique picks Kepa and goes, I trust you, son. Now, he didn't stand out, but he also didn't let in against Portugal. He comes back, it's a 3-3 against Southampton. Frank says what he says, and you know, for all their spending, you know that at the beginning of the transfer market, just about their number one object was Jan Oblak. And in my opinion, they weren't far away from persuading him to come. And as interesting as Ziyech and Havertz and Thiago Silva and Werner and so on are going to be, Oblak was a deal that they needed above anything else, but by miles.
Yeah, 100%. That's really interesting to hear that they were very close to it. Graham, we're out of time. Great to have you back. Great to have the Champions League back as well. Talk to you real soon. Thanks a million.
Enjoy your football. Up the Villa.